How's it going, buddy?
Good, good.
Good. Jamie, how are you, my friend?
Andy, I am here and I am well. Thank you.
Oh, good, good. And I especially want to thank all you guys taking time out of your day to come to the trading studio with me and Jamie. We got some cool stuff to talk about. But before we jump in, let's go ahead and take care of the legal stuff first. And quick disclaimer, guys, this is for educational purposes only. We'll have some good ideas for you, some great software to show you, but nothing that you see or hear should be construed as investment advice. And if that's what you're seeking, please seek out a registered broker or an RIA. But I believe Jamie and I both at one time had our broker's license, and we can tell you this is much more fun. So let's venture on, guys, and talk about what else is included in Trade Ideas beside this very powerful and incredible software. Well, we want you to know that you're not alone with Trade Ideas. Gosh, and I got to remember, Steve had put my slide. I don't know how it got in here, but I got to remember to put mine back in. We have incredible amount of education and support and training at Trade Ideas. We have 4 webinars throughout the week, all in the same time slot. That would be 5 p.m. Eastern time. And it's going to be a combination of me, Jamie, or Steve, but we do provide a little treat on Wednesdays with our CEO, Dan Merkin, and our CTO, Brad Williams, and that's more of a kind of a demonstration Q&A period where you guys can come in. Dan usually has a nugget or two to give you as far as alerts go that he is always constantly working on. So great place to get. They're all a great place to come and learn more about the product and get the additional support and education. But I want to really point out this Friday support sessions because we've only had 2 of them so far, and they're really going good. As a matter of fact, I think we doubled the number last Friday that we had on from our first Friday. So a lot of people are coming in there, and guys, this is not just for subscribers, okay? If you're kicking around the idea of, getting this software, it's a great place to come and ask questions and have us demonstrate for you how to use it, how to build a simple alert, a top list. So we can really show, because there's a lot of power, behind this product. Me and Jamie sometimes take it for granted because we've been using it for 14 years. But you can come in there and learn how easy it is to use once you get a grasp, of everything it can do, and it really doesn't take that long. And I would be remiss if I didn't point out the daily trading room that we have with our moderator Barry. He's back from vacation now in full steam again, and I didn't venture in there today, but if I had to guess, there's probably 400 or 500 traders in there, and a lot of good ones too. I was in there a lot over the last couple of weeks, and some really good traders. You can learn obviously a lot about our software and see Barry navigate the market in real time as he calls out his trades and shows you how he finds them using our software. All right, and one other thing too, I'd also be remiss if I didn't mention this. Once you subscribe to Trade Ideas, not only do you get all this education and training that I just showed you, but you also get a one-on-one, we call it the Hour of Power training. So you could come in, we recommend what you do is kind of kick it around for a while, watch the videos, go to the support sessions, see a webinar, maybe have it for a week or so, and then come into your one-on-one training. So that way we can work on at more of an advanced level. And not only that, we can incorporate some trading strategies and stuff that me and Jamie and Steve have learned over our years as professional traders. And I've seen people just really get a lot of some good ideas from what we have to tell them as far as mentoring and coaching goes. But anyway, that's free once you subscribe to Trade Ideas. It's regular $99 value, and we do have a lot of repeat customers who come back for more of that education and training. All right, so let's take a look at our agenda for today. And as always, we're going to talk about the market recap. And then we're going to talk about the Holly recap. And Jamie, not a whole lot of trades, but a lot to talk about, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely, Andy. I mean, there's a lot a lot of really cool observations on a day like today, especially just coming off of the heels of these last 4 days of trading. While the market digests all the activity in the queues and whatnot, but some really standout trades from Holly today on a very low trade count, and of course, we will save the good stuff for that time.
We will. And you guys that are new in here and kicking the tires for the first time, please stay tuned. I think you're going to find some impressive alerts today from Holly, and we will go in depth on those. Last week I talked about fading gap ups, and I'm going to revisit that today because I'm seeing a lot more of the same trends. So, and then if we have time, we're going to go over talk about the dog days of summer. You can a lot of times get, especially over the last 8 years, get some nice summer rallies. But I just want you to kind of be keeping a watchful eye out because we've had a huge run up to this point. So it might be kind of a lackadaisical, for the lack of a better word, summer where you might not get much price action. And I'm going to explain to you why you need trade ideas during a time like this, when you have less participants in the market, the volume's a little thinner, especially when you get into the heart of summer, around, well, I guess mid-July all the way through August. So we'll head down that path if we have time today as well. But first, let's go into the market recap here, and let's talk about the overall market. And I took the time today. There's a very well-defined trend line in the Qs here, and I wanted to point this out. And you can see today it bounced right off of it. And even if I scroll out a little bit longer, you're going to see, well, no, that's about it. I had all the data points in there. So you basically have 1, 2, 3, 4 data points now where it's bouncing off the Qs. This has been our leader, even though it's pulled back. Obviously, the next last week or so, it's got a way ahead of itself. It's pulling back, and now you see the Dow kind of taking the baton and moving a little higher. But nonetheless, I think you really need to watch this level. I think a violation of this trend line, could cause some downside selling pressure in the Qs. I mentioned on Tuesday with Steve when we both agreed. I mean, look at the size of that volume bar. And don't be too fooled by the size of this green bar, because that was still a down day in the market. So a lot of selling here, in these 2 days right here. So I'm always a little leery when I see that, and especially on that kind of volume. Might this be the start of something? Time will tell, but boy, I have my guard up, especially, to the long side when I see that kind of volume. I mean, look at that. It almost doubled the volume we had here on this day. So keep an eye on this Qs. Watch that trend line. If you do see them rolling back over, now it's very likely if we bounce off this trend line and continue higher, which honestly, the way the market's, I hate to reuse same cliches over and over, the trend is your friend, whatever, but it has been for a long time. So, don't get too bearish now, but a violation of this a trend line could cause, a potential move down to this area right here, potentially. And the spiders, I wanted to kind of point out the Qs today. The spiders are kind of right back in the middle of a range. I pulled those out. I got the 2 lines drawn here from the recent breakout, and then that's a level we're trying to get above. And right now we're right in the middle of the range. So, if you're using the spiders as your kind of benchmark ETF and playing off of it, those are the 2 levels of interest to me in the range. And the diamonds are, like I said, they kind of take, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time here because, guys, it's 30 stocks, and I don't want to, overemphasize, what the diamonds are doing. And my take on the IWM is leave it alone. It's crap. I mean, it's tried, several times now, 1, 2, 3, and it keeps falling back into its range. I'm just not seeing anything here at all. A couple of head fakes. Small cap, just not really seeing any love in this whole move over the last 7 months. But Jamie, anything to add on as far as this market recap? Anything that kind of sticks out at you? I know you're always good about, later on in our presentation, maybe pulling up your pack leaders or your turbo breaks and providing some great content there. But just didn't know if you...
I mean, obviously the Qs have been leading for a long time, and, it was only a matter of time, Andy, you know this as well as I do. It was only a matter of time before a little bit of selling comes back in, as with anything that's going up and up and up. But since the Qs are so overweighted, therein lies the problem. We talk about this at least 2 or 3 times a day, it seems, between me and the people that I chat with. But when you have 5 companies so overweighted, what do you expect? And of course, it's what's taken us here. But then when you look at the SPY, yes, it does look like it might be flirty with the bottom of that range. But, the SPY looks a lot more sane as far as the chart goes than the Qs. The overweighting problem, how did it ever even get to this point? Don't know, but this is what it is.
Yep, very good take. Yeah, like I said, there's the key. I think the point I wanted to make here was keep an eye on those Qs if it does break that trend line. And once again, there's your spider trend line is still well above it. But that's an area I would definitely be watching on the spiders. All right, so let's jump into the Holly. Let me get these charts a little bit here. Bear with me here. I'm going to kind of reconfigure my charts here so we can take a look at that. And Holly, you can see here today, guys, came to the party this early this morning or late this evening or yesterday evening, if you will, and quite a few, not a bad number. Looks like we had about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 longs and 1 short. So leaning to the long side, but look here, guys. I mean, we basically only had 6 trades to fire off today. So she wasn't seeing a lot of these setups were just not happening this morning. There was, a little bit of gap down in the market that may have something to do about it. But for whatever reason, Holly was just not seeing a whole lot today. But man, when boy, as time rolled on, and I don't know what happened to my time on this thing. Somehow I got jacked up. Let me see if I can find it over here somewhere. Oh, there it is. It's just squeezed in. So yeah, this will be Central Time. So around 12:25 Eastern Time, this SELB came out, and I thought it was quite interesting. So let's just double click and just show you a little bit about Holly. And I'm gonna let Jamie probably, he's really good at breaking these trades down. I'll let him go into that. But what I wanted to show you was, first of all, look, we talk about this washout bounce. Me and Steve like to compare this to the big Kareem Abdul-Jabbar type center who gets a rebound off the board and starts swinging those big old elbows, just starts clearing everybody out of the paint. This is what some of these HFTs do. Well, this is the action in the morning. You can see the opening here in the 15-minute bar. Just drive it down and pop it back up. Basic stop hunting right there. You have a stock that's in a beautiful uptrend on some decent volume, and then all of a sudden it comes out in the first few minutes of the morning and tries to run all the stops. Basically takes out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days of in a few minutes, and that's not uncommon, guys. It's the dynamics we now have in the market with the influx of high-frequency trading. But nonetheless, when you see something like that, okay, you need to use it to your advantage. And look what the stock did. It just flushed out and then just started, moving higher, moving higher. And like I said, I'll let Jamie break it down. But I did print my screen when I saw this breakout, and I wanted to show you, Steve does this a lot, and so do I when I'm looking for breakouts you want to see. And this is actually one of the lower increments of volume that I saw. It actually got up much higher than that. And you can see it there kind of building up in the daily. Like I said, Jamie will show you more when he goes to our live charts, but this was a screen print from the breakout. And when you see this kind of stuff, guys, and you look at there and the daily pattern and everything's setting up nicely, this is when you want to kind of think, maybe I'll hold on a little longer. We're going to show you in all 3 of these cases. Let me also bring up Mosey or Mossy. I like Mossy better, like Mossy Nissan. But this is Mossy, and same thing here. This is the daily. This is when Holly called it. Holly called it, I believe, at don't lie to you here, 187. right here on this bar, and you can see just traded sideways, and then look at the volume coming in here. And even on that break, break right here is when I wanted to get that volume, 749, and of course this got a lot higher too. But 7-8 times normal, guys, that's huge volume, and you have a chart that's breaking, doing a possible go, pause, go, even though that's kind of a nasty down wick from yesterday. But I wanted to point that out, guys, when you see that volume, to really, really maybe try to hang on to some of that trade. If you can't hang on to all of it, try to hang on to a portion of that trade. Something is going on, under the, the regular part of the trade, because it's more than just a chart pattern. You got to look at that volume and see what's happening. All right, Jamie, and you know what? I'm gonna let you. I didn't draw up ADMP because it kind of caught me off guard, and it was kind of a quick move. But nonetheless, guys, what I did want to talk about is we don't know why Holly got in this trade, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you Holly got in this trade because she knew this was going to happen. Okay, obviously I didn't know it happened, but the fact of the matter is she did get in this trade. I'm not sure what she saw, and when I looked at at the daily, it was trading right about here. You can see the blue line in Holly. Nothing really jumped out at me that this could end up being a great trade, and you can see Holly actually got out for a time stop at 3 cents. So if you're in this trade and there's no reason, there's the call in the 15-minute chart. I don't see any reason why you get out for a 3-cent loser. And I'm hoping some of you has got this, some of our subscribers, and you were able to catch into the halt. But even if you didn't, in this, you would have your eyes on it, because trust me, not too many of your alerts would have picked this up. If I had to bet, I would say nobody in this chat room today saw this coming on an alert they configured. No, but Holly, our artificial intelligence, picked it up. And
I agree with you.
Go ahead, Jamie. You got something to say too? I didn't have it on any of my alerts. Yeah.
We got that little lag working since you're on the dark side of the moon over there in Texas. But I just want to kind of jump in here and say ADMP, typical Holly entry. And as Andy said, did Holly know it was going to get halted and gap up because they were going to get some FDA third phase approval or something along those lines? That's really what the catalyst was for the halt and the gap up and the run up. But when I saw this trade, I'm like, well, I know it came from Mighty Mouse, but as some of you who come here all the time already know, that when a strategy shows up, for example, if Mighty Mouse makes the cut again for tomorrow's trading, the base is the same, but it will have been modified or altered based on the market data that Holly puts into the calculations tonight. So I went and grabbed the version that Holly had. I put it up on my screen. I dug into it. I started going through all the filters. Nothing special, nothing, and then boom, there it was in broad daylight. So I tell you what, how about I flip the screen and I'll
go right ahead. We'll while he's doing that, guys. Yeah, I really want to emphasize, if those 3 trades, they're well, I guess that sale was not a very low price stock, is $17. But so much alpha generated on those 3 trades, guys, and you have to think of it in that context, not so much the amount of movement in the percent, in the how many pennies it moved, or how many dollars it moved, but always look at the profit percentage.
Okay, so can you see my screen now, Andy? You can see my
data?
You can see the whole screen, not just part of it, right?
I see the whole thing.
Okay, so what we're looking at right here, everyone, is just the daily of ADMP. Now, of course, this was today's action, but when we look back at these bars here, it is capable of doing some big volume, but 115,000, 235, 300, 400, 600,000 on a busy day. So what I noticed right off the bat in the version that Holly was using today is that the volume filter, what I like to call the more traditional volume metrics, we have 3 of them. We have the 3-month daily average, we've got the 10-day, and we got the 5-day. And when I'm introducing people to the software and we're configuring their things, everybody's got their personal preferences, and I always try to point people to the smaller time frames. I like the 5, but in this case the 10-day was being used. And because the volume had steadily been increasing over these past 10 days. We can see there was 1.65 million on this day. There was 1.5 million on this day. But in the past 10 days, the average volume was over 1 million shares. So in essence, our system knew that the volume was slowly picking up, and then it just happened to make the cut out of Mighty Mouse today. Now, of course, when we see on the intraday in real time, as Holly calls the play, right here, there should really not be a lot of hesitation or fear from any user out there. Well, simply because look how calm this chart is. It's a low dollar stock. Holly's calling it at 380. You know, this little base area right here is 365. And then, of course, everybody's got their whoopee. We've got our security blanket right here in the form of our stop loss, which is clearly illustrated over here, 355. Once again, to kind of backtrack here, the regular people should always stick to them, right? Stick to the game plan. Holly gets out of this trade prematurely because she doesn't let winners turn into losers, and that's what, you know, actually on this one though, I stand corrected, Andy. Time stop.
Yep,
Actually,
that's right. Yes, that was a timestamp. I mentioned it. Yeah.
Not to switch gears too quickly here. Risk off, risk on. You don't pick before the day starts. You address risk on and risk off on an individual trade basis. So we're in the trade with Holly. Sideways, sideways, sideways. You can actually see here the dark shaded area is where Holly stayed in the trade and then got out. So whether it's me, Andy, Steve, pretty much any other trader out there, if we got in here and we just got this sideways action, is there really any need to get out? I mean, boredom, I can tell you right now, there were some people in this trade today. Some people got this probably, and then some people got in here and got bored, all right? You know what they say about boredom and idle hands and all that, right? So, you know, the last thing you want to do is be presented in a situation like this and not give it enough time to play out. Now, of course, Holly timed out, but, you know, we're in the market to take a little bit of risk here, and nothing really crazy was happening. And, of course, Holly did not know this was going to happen, but it did. And the only reason anybody knew about it using our software, pretty much, I'd say 90%, only knew about it because the stat model known as Holly, the AI, told them about it. Now, most people will never be in a trade like this in their whole trading career or even have been told about it before it happened. But what you're seeing here is not just random luck. These things will happen more frequently when you're following a statistical model than if you're just doing things from a manual perspective. You know, who knows how many more might present themselves in the next year or so. Maybe it's one, maybe it's two. But when you're using a system like this, and by the way, since Holly's not the only piece of trade ideas, it's just one of the very bleeding edge cutting modules of the technology. When you're watching this over time, a statistical model, these things are just going to happen. Usually doesn't happen like this, but today it showed itself. It's like, what's that reality show, The Deadliest Catch, Andy? Right?
Right.
Sometimes they hit a dry spell. Sometimes it's average catch, but then sometimes they're just like every time they dip a cage in there, they pull it back. It's just brimming with crabs, right? They fill their boat up in an hour and go home. This is that case, you know. As our good friend Steve Gomez likes to say, chance favors the prepared mind. And see, this was a statistically probable trade. As we all know, Holly, they'll hug that entry line for a long time sometimes. There's a pretty flat line here, but sometimes they'll vacillate up and down. And then, of course, if you're patient enough, halt and big gap up. So don't want to spend too much time on this one, but it is an anomaly in the fact that it just happened. Holly happened to have signaled in an hour before the halt and the gap up. For those of you who stayed in it, congratulations.
Hey, Jamie.
Yes.
Somebody was asking a question about the green and red shaded areas. Could you go over that real quick?
Absolutely. So I'll just click off this and back on it again. When I double click down here on ADMP from Holly's Trade Blotter, the chart will automatically be populated not only with this arrow, which indicates this is where Holly said to make an entry, but you get the color coding boxes over here on the right margin. Of course, this is in beta version, or this is my developer's version, so you probably don't have these even in the beta right now, maybe in a crude form. But this is your stop loss, this is your entry, and then this is the profit target. Now the shaded area, we have two shaded areas. We have this dark shaded area, we have the light shaded area. The dark shaded area is Holly in the trade in risk off mode, meaning she's simply adhering to her rules that have been put forth, which are the time stop, profit target, or excuse me, profit target up here, stop loss, and then of course on this one, the timed hold expired and she exited right here. The lighter shaded area is reflective of the risk on, which simply keeps the tally. If you would have bought it here and held it to the close, this is what risk on reflects, or any point in the day before the close. So it just assumes that you're staying in the position all day and not closing it out, meant to give you an idea of things as you watch and learn from Holly. You know, it's kind of like this. We have a risk off column here, which shows us Holly's risk off performance. But of course, had you stayed in ADMP, you would have made probably more than 3 cents. So we can basically create a spread here between risk off and risk on. And the easiest way to explain it is we always want to try to capture somewhere in between risk off and risk on if the chart dictates it. Now, chart, I don't want to forget about this, and Andy, if we were in this trade initially here, this piqued our interest, this got our attention, it was the flare gun that said, hey, I don't know if you like me or not, but at least take a look at me. So when we see what might develop here, right, of course, entry signal is way down here at 380. And then, of course, as we penetrate here, that's all the way up to 480. But, you know, this huge gap over here really catches my eye, Andy. And we can see what happened when it broke, which I'm sure everybody was just as shocked and amazed as the next guy. But then when you see it go past here and you see this big void, man, that's what we always look for as traders when we're looking to the left to try to predict price movement.
Mm-hmm. And not only that, I want to point out, guys, I mean, even if you did not take this trade, or if you took the trade and you were very impatient and got out when Holly basically got out for a time stop for a 3-cent loser, which I don't see any reason, you still could have bought this trade below that breakout that he just showed it there, or if you waited patiently for it to go through that breakout. But you would have been watching this because you would have known that Holly had spit this out earlier for a reason, so it would have been on your radar. So I can't tell you the number of traders who would not have even known this thing had halted and had resumed trading and was trading. So, but you would have your eyes on it, and you could still have, you know, and this could be a multi-day run. This could fill that gap in the next 3 or 4 days. You know, so this is one that would be on my radar if you're a momentum trader for the days ahead. I think it was great news. So,
right, Andy, while you're on that topic, you know, it's like, okay, this is the perfect example of patience being one of the attributes that any trader must develop, right? Because just like we have fear and greed, little demons that sit on the right and left shoulder, and then patience is in there as well. But think about it from this perspective. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 trades. Even if you took all 6 trades and went with your comfort level, which for some people that just might be 100 shares. Every time Holly kicks something out on a slow day, I'm going to get 100 shares of it. I'm going to watch the ebb and flow of the P&L and figure out when I want to get out. Or maybe I'll be more specific. If I'm only in 6 positions, I can take the time to pick the charts apart. To see, everybody, you don't have to do big share size. Hey, maybe you do 50 shares of each Holly play, 20 shares, whatever your account will allow for. But the bottom line is to get just a little bit of skin in the game and see what happens, because statistical weight is the main draw to the AI. So let's go ahead and talk about those other trades that Andy was discussing earlier, because once again, we tend to be seeing a lot of the same things in these Holly plays. And I've seen a lot of these same patterns today in my other windows today, and they seem to be the ones that were working. So let's take a look at SELB today. So this little guy had already completed his first tier range break right here. And then all of a sudden it tightens up right through here and then breaks again and maintains that little, right here in this candle. High of that candle was 17 cents. We barely breached it by 8 cents here, or 4 cents here. And then we get a little bit more sideways action. And then all of a sudden, everything with this stock fit the mold of, let's see, what was the strategy? It was wake up call that spawned this one. And boom, a nice little entry. Holly's defining the risk for us right here, so we don't have to think too hard. And look how small the risk was here. I mean, pretty tight little area right there. But needless to say, didn't come anywhere near stopping us out, right? And there's a real easy way. Once we're in it, got a little skin in the game because this pattern looks really good. We're getting a second breakout here, top tier, or what I like to call a second tier breakout, because this is the perfect example of a stock where obviously there's a buyer. Buyers and sellers become equal here. Buyers kick it back into gear here, and then we see the same little pattern here, and then boom, that's when Holly calls it. And of course, the shaded green area is Holly getting out, or Holly being in the trade before she gets out. All of this is risk on what was potential. Of course, why did Holly get out? In this case, once again, a timed stop from wake up call, and we can see right here 60-minute hold time. That's what it's designed around. Now, of course, Holly gets out right here. Had we stayed in it, we would have got a little bit more pop out of it, and then like a magnet to a piece of steel, comes right back down here and just kind of spends the rest of the day meandering sideways around that second level there, that third level. Now, Andy, did you already go over the volume after this little guy kicked in?
I did. And on that initial break right there, that was the one that was doing almost 4 times normal volume. So, right. So the volume was there. The chart was there. The daily chart was there. There was a lot of things there.
Yeah, because that little break was right at the 925 area. So just for giggles here, since I did not snap the screenshot, I basically just put SELB in this little top list that I have here. And now it's showing us what the volume levels were between 925 and 929, which is what this bar right here encompasses. And see, you had plenty of time to react here. This thing didn't just motor up. So, for example, I had plenty of time to do exactly what I just did. And what would I have seen? As this is happening, 1 minute volume is almost 12 times normal. 5 minute over 3.5, approaching 4. And the 10-minute volume was twice normal. So we talk about this all the time as well. The #1 golden star is because it's coming from Holly, the AI, who only uses statistically weighted entries. #2, we notice that it is exhibiting a range break, which is Jamie's favorite pattern because it's so simple and powerful. That's gold star #3. Then we have huge volume confirming. That's 3 gold stars, ladies and gentlemen. You see, a trade can work on any one of those merits alone, but when you can stack them like this, boy, it sure gives us a lot more certainty. It doesn't guarantee anything, but to use the volcano analogy one more time, how do they tell when a volcano might be getting ready to do its thing so they can evacuate everyone? They're studying what's going on underneath. And that's exactly what we're doing right here. Okay, I think we have one more to go, right, Andy?
Oh yeah, it's a good one too. It's beautiful.
Yeah, we got to talk about little Mosey here.
Yeah.
And we can do the same exercise here. And I think this one, let's do this. And of course, let's just look at the metrics here. Holly calls it right here. Nice stop loss for us to adhere to right here. And of course, once again, this is looking very similar. What do we see? And I took the liberty of just drawing a line across from that high that it put in the first 10 minutes there. We draw that line across. Nice little flat area right here, which tells us buyers and sellers are equal, or there were barely any buyers and sellers in these little dashes here. Creep right back up here. Boom. We have Mosey. Little big guy. Everybody got a piece today. So little big guy, 60-minute hold time. Why did Holly get out? Once again, got to stay in for the full amount. Now, once again, she pegged this one
pretty well.
Pretty darn good, because it's risk off, not really, maybe a few more pennies to be had. A huge percentage move. Risk on percentage of 13 almost 14% on Mosey when we look at risk on versus risk off, 24 versus 26 cents, 24 cents on a $1.80 stock, pretty big deal. And once again, we have the same system that we can use. We've got that little big guy coming in at 70%. We've got a very solid range break pattern accompanying it, gold star number 2, and then we've got volume kicking in as well. So let's just take a peek here. I'll change my symbol to Mosey real quick. And let's see what we got. So you see in this little bar right here, Mosey was still pretty much asleep. We didn't have volume confirmation. But you know what? I've already got a range break with statistical probability. And we can see down here, of course, sometimes volume bars on a chart, believe it or not, are useful, usually in retrospect. So we can see the little cluster of volume here. So if we're in it right here, what's happening? We're getting a little sideways movement. We've seen this before. We've seen this movie before. Patience is a virtue. So if you're in it here, this is very similar to being in the other trade, the ADMP, before it took off, except this event happened. It wasn't a gap and go. It was just a nice big influx of volume. Let's try the 1055 time frame here. Well, I think my eyes are playing tricks on me, Andy. That's 11, not 1055.
Oh, I missed it too.
Hello, James. I can do it. I know I can. Okay. 11 o'clock. We can do this. All right. Well, Andy, I'm not seeing any big volume spike just then. I mean, is that the... Oh, we'll do it. If it's not kicking in at 11:05, then maybe it wasn't quite as big as we thought it was.
Well, I can even see that on the volume bar, so I'd be real surprised if it's not kicking in at 11:55.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
So okay, there we go with 1 minute volume kicking 5 over 10 on the 5 and over 5. And the reason being, ladies and gentlemen, it has to wait for this bar to close before it can see it, and then report right at the close of this bar, right at the beginning of this bar, which probably would have been right at the open of that bar, about 96. But anyway, the way that we do it in the real time is we have our good trusty single symbol with our favorite metrics, the 1 minute volume, the 5 minute volume, so we can just quickly glance over there. The only reason I was fumbling through this interface is to show us, hey, if you want to go back and see specific volume levels for specific 5 minute periods and specific stocks, that's the way you would go about it. one of the ways you can go about it.
Very good. The beautiful thing about all three of those trades is that they were all painless. I mean, painless in a that none of them went against you. And boy, that's that's beautiful when you're a trader, you know, not having to sit through, you know, a 2 or 3%, you know, backing off.
Yeah, that's what we want as traders, Andy, right? We want
absolutely
to incur the least amount of pain as possible. Of course, you can apply that to just about every aspect of life, right? But we want to, you know, nobody likes to sit there and be, you know, down 25, 30 cents as soon as they make an entry. It's not very good for the morale, right? But if we're down just a hair or flat, oh Lord, we have to suffer through some flat for a while to get paid today. Whether it was ADMP, whether it was Mosey, or whether it was Cell B. You know, and that's the beauty of the algorithmic system, to be up, risk on 265 on 6 trades. I mean, you're going to be hard pressed to find performance that tops that, even if you were adhering to the risk off mode. And I'm glad I went back to this, because look at the beautiful progression of the P&L chart for Holly today. Risk off, a little red, which is typical. Once we hit green, we never look back. This is telling you, the trader, statistical noise is low today. There's a good chance the AI could have a good day. We can also even read this just like a stock chart. We see the first peak. Look, hey, there's that flat thing that all the stocks were doing today. All right, well, when we pop back up here, if we were able to draw a line straight across from here, then we know that, you know what, statistical noise has been relatively low, but now it's at all-time lows as we crack that thing right there, that line, if I could draw it, and then off to the races. So this can, in essence, act as a red light, green light for how aggressive you should be with the AI trades. And if we look at risk on, we get a little bit more of a drawdown here. But once again, if we could play the line drawing game across the tops of those initial highs there, when we saw a penetration of that high, off to the races. A little more consolidation, and boom. You know, ironically enough, this chart looks very similar to some of the charts that we just looked at. So I hope that makes sense.
It does. It does. And then, like I said, only a few trades today, but a lot to talk about there, because those were 3 incredible trades. I was really impressed with the AI today. If you want to pass it back over, I have a few more comments to make. When you're watching Holly and you see that she gets out for an exit reason, whether it be time stop or profit save, I'll show you, you know, what I like to do to maybe manage and stay in the chart a little bit longer. And what that is I'm looking at the daily chart. So this SLB, you know, Holly got out for a risk off of 34 cents. Okay, so if I'm looking at this chart and I see that Holly gets out for a time stop for a 34-cent gain, okay, well, first thing I'm going to do is look at my daily and see if it's broken through in any levels, and if it has, where it might go to from there. And as you can see right here, Holly's exit time in SLB, or exit price, I should say, was 17.71. Well, if I look over here and I see, well, you know, if Holly can get above this range right here, you know, maybe I want to hold on a little bit longer, because she does poke through this level right here. There's a real good chance she is going to go up, you know, to this level, this wick right here. And that's exactly where she went to. If you can see this wick, she went all the way up to this level right here, which also has a little bit of resistance over here. But above that, you know, 1780, 1790 level, boy, it was pretty much clear sailing, and that's what you got, which was her target to begin with. So not only that, you see where her target was. You see Holly gets out because she is optimized to get out on a time stop. Well, that's where you maybe just kind of, hey, you know what? I'm not seeing any reason to get out of here looking at my 15-minute chart. I'm going to, no bar reversal there, there. I'm gonna see if I can ride this a little bit further. On the other hand, if you look at Mosey, Holly gets out pretty much at the top of the move, real close to the top of the move. And if you're looking over here, you're not seeing, I'm seeing a lot of levels, a lot of congestion right here in the chart. And I can move this right there and see congestion. And you can see Holly, it kind of ran into that 214 level. Holly's exit was at 211. So maybe, you know, I'm a little bit more suspect to this level right there. So there's a lot of areas of congestion that I would, you know, may want to just take Holly's exit. So anyway, always look at the daily charts, guys. We talk about that a lot. Those are your true footprints in the sand. That's where you're going to get an idea of where a stock can, you know, might be going. Look at those daily charts. So I only have a little bit of time left, so I may save that dog days of summer for my next week. We'll be probably getting more into the summer dogginess, if you will. Let me pull up. Oh yeah, I know what it was. I was going to talk about the gappers and how last week I talked when you're trading these up gappers in the morning, guys. A lot of traders, most of your traders come in thinking long. And I showed you how, you know, you can really benefit if you're not afraid to short some of these gappers. And there's a practical way to do that, and you can set up these scanners to help you do that. And maybe I'll actually put one together and maybe try to back test it and do some things here in the future. But let's just take a look at the pre-market this morning. And if nothing else, I hope I can save you money. I know there's a lot of traders that like to trade stocks in the news, and they see these stocks gapping up, and they get real excited. Well, this is HTGM's up 30%, this IDGX, oh man, these things. Trust me, I've seen it over and over. Traders, they want to play the long side. And let me just take a look. Let's take a look at the 5-minute chart and a lot of these charts, and I'll actually expand it so you can see it a little bit better. This is just our pre-market channel where a lot of our subscribers go in the morning to see what stocks are doing early in the morning. It's a great place to go. So let's just pull up the 5-minute chart here and go through some of these up gappers here in the morning. Make sure I'm not losing data. That's after hours, yes. So HTGTM, look at there, guys. You had this huge gap up this morning. Everybody getting excited, up 30%. Totally just got destroyed the whole morning. Pretty much went further than closing the gap. IDXG. Once again, this one had a little bit of head fake, went up, you know, eventually came back down. APS, that's kind of seeing something happen there after hours, but you can see the gap up this morning. ROX, another one, gapping up this morning, threw in a couple of wicks up around $2, sold off. Especially some of these low price stocks, guys. There's another one. I'm having a hard one. I can't look at this one. Gapping up this morning. This was actually a higher price stock and just selling off. There's an, I haven't found one that actually went gap on what we call gap and going. I'm not going to keep going through all these, but I think you're getting my point. Look at this one right here. Well, if you played the long side, if you just took a position on every one of these gappers this morning to the short side and walked away, you would have made, I'm not telling you to do that, no, by no means. There's a better way to trade this. And I'll show you, and it's basically all you got to do. Let me see if I have it. I got time to do this. Let me pull up my count. Gappers. So, and I will share this. This is his regular an up gappers. Let's take a look. It's very simple configuration. Okay, all you really want to do, come on now, is come in here. It's a top list, so there's no alert. It's just a top list, and so you can take a look at a scan and kind of see everything in one window here. And basically, I got stocks $1 to $500. The gap up has to be at least 4%. Average daily volume in the 10-day is 200,000. And that's it. And what you do is you take this and then you add all these columns in here that you can sort by. I have this sorted by the change from the close. I'm going to see which ones are gapping up the most. What you want to do if you want this to be active during pre-market, live hours, and post-market is just have it set for live always. So this is showing stuff in the after hours now. You'll get the stuff in the pre-market. That's the way these are kind of set up. These gappers are set up. live always. So what you can do is use your position and range filters. So this position and range right here, since it doesn't have a word like yearly or 5-day or 20-day, it's talking about the intraday range. So in the morning, let's put time frame, use historical date, and let's see what was happening this morning at 15 minutes after the market opened. 8:45 a.m., 6:15, okay. So this is what you got. This is what was happening as the market opened and was open for 15 minutes. So you can see these ones. Look at this HTGM. You can see it close to lows right there. So you could pick it up in the morning. Of course, that's where it was right there, pretty much on lows. So you can find the ones by using this position and range, the ones that are on lows. And you can do this after 5 minutes, 15 minutes. This refreshes every 30 seconds. So you're getting this data every 30 seconds. It's just a very powerful way to keep track of all the gappers and seeing where they are in their intraday range without having to pull up the stock at all. I can't tell you how useful these columns can be. And any filter set that we have can be used as a column. So just a great way without having to sit there and go through and putting in alerts and going through and typing in each symbol. You can just keep an eye on this position and range, and you can see which ones are close to highs, which ones are close to lows, which, so I just can't tell you how you can put this software to use. And I know some of you guys are going to want this, so I'm just going to go ahead and drop it on in the chat here so you guys can have a copy of it if you want. And we'll just call this up gappers, and you can reverse this. You can get it. I'll show you how to do that in just a second. Oh, let me put it during live always before I do this, so you guys don't pull this. I don't know what the heck I just did. I'm trying to trade something.
Yeah, Andy, while you're getting that done, always. I'm just going to say that the red and the green shading that you're seeing on my charts and Andy's charts, that's on our developers version. Hopefully it'll be in the beta version pretty soon. So when you are able to download that version, it will just show up automatically. You won't have to do anything. Should be coming
exactly.
Later.
Now, if you want to take that, I'm going to make you guys do your homework here. So all you have to do if you want to do this and get the down gappers is right click, duplicate window, very simple, and take the one that you just duplicated, go to configure, flip. You want to change this now so it doesn't read flipped up gappers. Why don't we just call it down gappers. Greater than 4% and hit OK, and now you have a down gappers one. And remember, this is live during market hours, so you're seeing stocks that are actually, gapping down from today's close. So anyway, Jamie, I think that just about wraps up our time. I'm going to save that other portion of my the trading dog days of summer and give you guys some more pointers on that, and I'll put some more stuff in there. But what I really wanted to drive home with those going into summer, guys, is you need a software like Trade Ideas, because opportunity, especially when it's not earnings season and there's not a whole lot of macro events. In August, you got the senators and everything going on vacation, so there's less governmental and macro news from there. It can really get slow. You need something. You need Trade Ideas to point you toward the pockets of opportunity. And Jamie, if you don't have anything else to add, I'm going to get to Scott in here to walk us out. And you guys hang on, because he's going to offer you a pretty decent discount on our product here.
Yeah, Andy, I think I'm done. I mean, great stuff from you with the gappers, great stuff from Holly, great stuff from a lot of other windows that myself and some other people are watching. So tomorrow's Friday, so you guys remember we've got the 3-hour 11 to 2 p.m. Eastern webinar going on all day, so hop on in there. see what it's all about?
Yes, for sure. Thank you for bring that up again. I think Scott will probably hit on it too as well, but if he doesn't, we covered it plenty here. Get in that support session tomorrow. If you are on our invite list of the webinars, you will get an invite. One other guy, I know somebody asked about the Holly strategies and where you can find a description. If you just go to our homepage, TradeIdeas.com, and you scroll all the way down, you can click on under support a link called AI strategy description. Just click on that link. It'll take you directly to this page and find any one you want. The longs are colored a dark gray. The reds are colored, shorts are colored red. Just click on it and it'll briefly give you a little definition of the strategy. So Scott, I think if you're ready, you can come back in here and we will offer them a nice little discount here.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks everyone for attending. Just remember there's a new podcast coming out tomorrow and you should all be subscribed. Search for Trade Ideas Podcast in your favorite podcast application. Also, if you're an interactive brokerage client, make sure that you're on one of the new builds. 1.0.136 is recommended, TradeIdeas.com/beta. And you can hook up with your interactive brokerage account to Trade Ideas, use Brokerage Plus interface to automatically trade using strategies. It's really cool. Check it out. Ask info@trade-ideas.com for help. There's a promotional code. It is June Boom. It'll save you 15% off your first month or year of Trade Ideas. It works for both standard and premium, and both standard and premium include a full hour of one-on-one training with Andy or Jamie or Steve. So once you become a subscriber, check out the help videos. Go to the trading room, the daily trading room, and when you have a list of questions, book that training session. Just go to support, click on training, and pick the best time and date that's available. If you have any questions, email us, info@trade-ideas.com, and all of our contact info is also in the handout. If you go to your handouts panel, expand that, you can download that, and that also has the cards with the discount code and all the other good stuff. So you can follow Jamie at QuantBot on Twitter, at Today Trader Steve Gomez, also Trade Ideas 1 and Trade Ideas are also the other Twitter handles. Like us on Facebook so you can share everything that we post with your friends. That would be awesome. All right, thanks guys. We'll have a recording this up later tonight or tomorrow, and hopefully you'll all go and say hi to Jamie and Andy in the training session, the help session on Fridays. It starts tomorrow morning. You'll get an email to your email address probably within the next 20 or 30 minutes. I forget what time it's scheduled for, but just go ahead and register for that session tomorrow, and you can pop on in there anytime during the 3-hour session and ask questions. I'm sure you all have more questions. People seem to never have an exhaustion of questions, which keeps us busy. Love it. All right, thanks Andy, thanks Jamie, thanks everyone. See you soon.
We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks, Jamie, and a special thanks to everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.